what will it take to win the Olympics.
It's going to be tough, and you're going to have to produce an extremely high-level triathlon to cross that line first.
Patience and consistency, I think that's the biggest thing for me.
We need to be able to deal with the pressure.
It's going to be a pretty tough fight between the athletes.
I'm living my dream, I guess.
I've got to make sure I'm ready.
My goal is to win a medal in Paris.
Winner takes all.
It'll take crossing the finish line first to win the race.
I think in order to win the Olympic gold in Paris, you have to be in great fitness, like in the best fitness you have ever been in. It's not enough just to be mentally strong, but you need to have the foundation of great training in the build-up. You can imagine all the French athletes will be standing on the start line with a lot of pressure. They have never won an individual medal in the past as the strongest triathlon nation. And you also have like Alex Yee, who hasn't won a title yet, even though he's been maybe the best triathlete over the last 3 years. And Hayden Wilde, really hungry as well for taking that top step off the podium. So it's a really open race with a lot of contenders, and you need to be able to keep your you need to play your card right and be smart during the race and also leading into the race, and keep your feelings under control. A week out from the Olympics, I want to be, so then I'm at sea level. After having done a big, hopefully great block of altitude training, I've been able to ramp up the volume at and around race pace and on the run, and I'm there a week out and feeling excited and nervous to see if the run shape is as good as I think it is, and that I'm feeling I'm on track, and I'm feeling confident that I can win it as long as I'm playing my card right and avoiding doing mistakes in the race. I think what we often see when you're having a home Olympics is that financially you get more support as like federations and teams and all the athletes and everyone in the whole French country in general is supporting sport stronger than what they have been doing over the last 10 years. So it's been since they got the Olympics, this has been focus to perform better at home. It means more, and that's also one of the reasons why you're seeing that probably France is going to perform really well, a little bit in the same way as the British team were performing really well going into London Olympics. And so it's good for a generation like the French guys now, the fact that they are having more focus on sport in France, and that's obviously increasing their chances in order to perform well. And then you have the foundation that they have such a great structure with the French clubs and the Grand Prix, and they have so many athletes to choose between, then it also makes it easy to put a great team together.
Yeah, to win in Paris, it's going to take, a really perfect race. You're going to have to be super strong across all three, swim, bike, and run, at a really high level, and there's a lot of women that really want it. So yeah, you're going to have to produce a very high level race, and also be able to manage the pressure and expectation that goes into building to an Olympics as someone that's there to try and win a medal, which is a huge component of it, and getting comfortable being in that space. So I think for me, I come into it with a lot of that experience. Given my career, I'm at the tail end of my career, so I think also the part I'm lucky is that I have done it before, which takes a little bit of the pressure off. Yeah, 100%. The dynamic around you plays such an important role going into the race, into the Olympics. I mean, they need to also manage their level of nerves and expectations and not put that on you or not influence the athlete by any means. Like, everyone needs to stay cool, calm, and collected around the athlete, and if they're nervous, just deal with it themselves. And so I have a really good team around me that knows that and understands that, and that's really filtered mostly by Dan, my husband. He definitely played a major role going into Tokyo by filtering anything that was a bit negative or stressful that didn't even touch me. I didn't even know. All I had to worry about was executing a great swim bike run, and that's all I worried about, which is enough to worry about. Yeah, a week out from the race in Paris, I want to be feeling just calm and confident and knowing that I've done everything that I could to be in the best shape possible to produce a result that's capable of winning a medal. And if I'm in that state, then I'll be happy, and I can't be upset what happens race day, because I know that I did my best to get myself in that position, and ultimately that's good enough. I think it's the whole journey of getting there.
What does it take to win the Olympic gold? I would say everyone knows what is need to be done, but are you willing to pay the price? That's the biggest question. I guess the most important thing at the last camp, 30 days before the Olympics, is to start building good aura around yourself. I think you just need to be in a good environment. You need to be happy, forgetting a little bit about the pressure of racing the games. And I think that's super important. Maybe this kind of thing is even more important than only training and giving your best every session. But I think that when you are in a good environment, you can always push a bit more, build something like that before Paris. When we are all waiting for our names to be called, waiting to jump in the water and start a really good show, I think about this moment every day, and I still need to make it more normal in my head, otherwise I'm going to be a bit nervous. When it comes to the Rio race, I expect a lot of crowds. I'd say at least 500,000 people in the whole course, maybe close to London. And after Tokyo with no crowds, I think Paris will be a special one. We can expect a beautiful race also. When it comes to the end of the race, the final kilometer, I would say it's more about who wants the most. It really takes something special to win the Olympics. Kristian already know all the steps, how to do it. You can also look at Dorian. He has an incredible sprint finish. Also Alex and Hayden. There's a lot of people that can win the race. I think maybe the Paris Games will be the most unpredictable, at least on the men's field. I think in Rio, London and Tokyo, we already had an idea who was going to be in the front, but in Paris, in my opinion, would be the most unpredictable. I think that's natural because of the evolution of the sport. Now you can look at at least 10 people being able to run under 29 minutes.
Yeah, I think sub 29 is going to be needed on the day. I think it's proven that that's the standard now, and while it is super exciting for the sport, you know, it's also a pretty daunting figure. Obviously, you've got Alex Yee and Hayden Wilde there. They're formidable, you know, players, especially in the run, and you know they've shown some record-breaking run times in the past. So they're certainly ones to look out for. And Vasco Velasco as well from Portugal. I remember racing him as a junior in 2017 in Rotterdam, and I had the upper hand that day. But we'll see who has the upper hand on come Paris. Just in the last few years, actually, I've been utilising a sports psych through the QAS and also AusTri, and I think that's super important to kind of touch on, you know, another 1%er of the sport and make sure that you're across all things, you know, life, sport, balance, and everything in between. And I think, you know, the more you can try and do to get the best out of yourself in the day, why the hell not? Triathlon is such a rewarding sport. There's no feeling in the world that I've experienced like that of crossing the finish line, knowing that you've done everything you can in training leading to that event.
Been a brilliant performance. You can see there's a huge gap now. Back to Messias. He's going to come onto the blue carpet. He's been on the podium a couple of times before at this level, but never on the top step. First win by an Australian for a long, long time also, as Matt Hauser strikes gold in Montreal, and that's what it means.
Succeeding in your goals and dreams, and it's such an overwhelming feeling that I think when you get to share it with others and the people around you, it makes it even more special as well. There's certainly a space for the shorter, sharper racing. I think that's something that I really enjoy, and I really, you know, thrive off that anything can happen scenario and that adaptive kind of, you know, aggressive style of racing where, you know, seconds can be decided from 1st to 5th or 10th. So it's, yeah, I think that certainly has a place moving forward, and I think for the spectators as well, it's super exciting for them to watch all the action in such a short amount of time and have so much going on. With the French, you know, they can work together to mutually benefit, you know, one another, and that's in that swim bike breakaway. And they've proven that they can control a race from the get-go the last couple of years, and the last few World Championships they've walked away, you know, as world champions. So definitely probably on the forecast to happen, and you know, a home race, obviously it brings that little bit extra out of you. So yeah, we'll see what they bring.
It's a lot of ground to make up, and it seems this front group have really found their rhythm. They seem to be working really well together.
And they do look like they're really organised.
Really smooth and efficient, both taking short turns and moving over. Yeah, 3 men as well in this breakaway from France. We've just like incredible strength from them.
Yeah, I think there is no secret, because we always have the same tactic, which is to try to push at the beginning of the bike, and because we are in France, we are all pretty good swimmer. It's nice to be able to share that, but at the end, if I'm in front, I will just try to push with all the other athletes in front. I think there is many athletes who are able to get an Olympic medals. We have seen a lot of different athletes on the World Series podium last year, and I think it will be the same this year. So I don't really want to care about other athletes and focus on myself. Yeah, with my coach, we are working with a sports physiologist from the federation. We are sometimes asking him some data for racing or training, and my coach is also doing things on himself, like to figure out how to train best or how to race best. But we are always trying to cross that with what I feel and what I want to do. The test event have been good to understand how the course is, how the course works, in the swim, in the bike, in the run. I don't really think we can figure out how it's gonna be in the Olympics because of the test event, but yeah, we know how the course is, and it's an important thing. For me, the best scenario in Paris will be to have a really good swim, being able to break away after the swim without the best runners, and then still feeling really good on the beginning of the run, being able to follow the lead as soon as the run starts, and then just wait for my time and finish as fast as I can.
I never like to, speak too soon or anything, but no, everything is good. I'm happy with where I'm at, and I'm happy with where my team and myself have got me to this point. And yeah, it's like I'm in a much better place than I thought I would be. So I'm really, really happy with that. So yeah, no, everything's good, and I'm just excited to move things on now and see what I can do and see where I can get to. I love the hard training, and I love the feeling at the end of the day when your legs are just throbbing and you just literally lie down and you can't move. Like, I'm so heavy right now, I cannot lift a single finger. But I do like the taper as well, when it's like you come alive. And I felt like going into Abu Dhabi, I was like, whoa, I actually have energy. Like, this is so nice. I wake up in the mornings and I feel refreshed, and it's nice in taper week. Like, you just have this energy and you're like, oh, this is such a good feeling. Like, you get kind of a feel for the group that you're with in the first lap, and you see other people's weaknesses there. So whether we're going around a dead turn and you see, oh, but they're jogging out that dead turn, so I can gap them there. And if you gap someone on a dead turn, it's hard to come back from that. And as much as it takes a lot out of me to put a surge in out of the dead turn, if you gap someone mentally, they kind of go. But yeah, you just see what other people's weaknesses are during, and obviously you can hear as well how they're feeling. And if you're hearing like, oh, their feet are getting a bit heavier, they're obviously labouring a bit, I'm gonna try and put in a little surge. If they go with me, then they're obviously feeling all right. But yeah, it's, for me, someone like Flora, if I'm going onto the run with her, then I know that I have to be very careful, because she's very sneaky and she'll put in a surge, and when that surge goes, I can't usually hang on to her. So yeah, I just have to sometimes play it a bit differently. Depends what kind of style of racing you do, to be honest. Laura Lindemann, you wouldn't want to be in a sprint finish with her because she's super, super strong.
have to have a perfect run on this day. I have to have a perfect day, of course. I know it's very, very hard and it's a very, very big goal, but yeah, I just have to have my best running legs on this day. You have to be a very complete athlete. You have to be the best swimmer, the best biker and the best runner in the field, because everything comes very close. Like, I think you can't make much up in a race. If you make a mistake, you're more or less out of it, or out of the medals. I mean, in the test event, in the end, we were a very big group, but I think maybe for the Olympics could be a bit different because it's a smaller field and many athletes are missing because, yeah, it's maximum of 3 spots and in Paris was 5 spots maximum. That can make a difference after the swim. So could be that there are smaller groups. Nobody really talks about team tactics. If I think of the British team, for example, I think they have team tactics very, very often, and yeah, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, I can totally understand it.
I've always said to myself, if I go to Paris and if I get a medal independent of the colour, I don't know if I'll come back. But if I keep saying that to myself, but 90%, I just know 99% that I'll probably go to LA, because LA Olympics will be pretty damn cool. Like shouting my whole family over to Paris to watch the games, which is cool. So it'll be the first ever time in Europe, but also the first time they'll watch me overseas, as it's normally, you know, races like this here in New Zealand where there's the only opportunity they ever get to watch me live. So it'd be nice to shout them over and yeah, experience the Olympic Games. So looking forward to having them over there, and I think that just puts like another like exciting element for me into Paris and gets me excited and wants me personally to perform a lot better. As having the family there is a pretty cool thing for me, and it's never happened before. So.
Ooh, how many days are we to Paris? Like, it's kind of shrinking, even though it's still for me, it still feels so far away, but it's coming up and it's moving fast. Yeah, I think the more scary thing will be when it's like, so you can make fun of me, but like I start to have hourly countdowns for the races. So like 10 days out, it's 240 hours, and you start to know that once you're within 100 hours of the race, that's a different, like the hours, it's days, we're good. Hours are a different story.
And Taylor Knibb is kind of like the whole race maybe could revolve around Knibb. Can she make one of those bike breakaways we've seen from her so often?
Depending on who is chosen for each country, I feel like the race could be shaped in a number of different ways, and who's healthy and who's fit and who is mentally ready and up for the task on the day. I think it's just, there's so many strong women, and that's why it's so fun to race, and it's so like incredible to be on the start line with them. And so there are other like extenuating circumstances of what is the course on the day, and so like I don't know. That's why like I'm as excited to figure it out as anyone else probably. I didn't take a sabbatical because that sounds weird, but I felt like kind of like removed myself from the World Triathlon scene after Paris, because I went and raced 70.3 Worlds and I raced Kona versus continuing on to the grand final. But I think that course kind of, maybe it was the preparation, maybe it was the state people were in, but some people did not walk away from that course walking very well. So it's also kind of the effect of cobbles and running hard. And if it were a wet course, I think people would be thinking about the bike ride, but I'm more intrigued how the cobbles are, because I don't know the traction of shoes on that kind of course that might not be accounted for. From June through the games, I'll be just at home in Boulder doing my final preparation, a final good block. Hopefully, like, you never know when you plan things out, they might not work that way, but I hope I'm I hope I'm confident, and I think the best feeling is that when you can walk onto the pontoon knowing that regardless of what happens in the next 2 hours, you've done everything you can to set yourself up for success. And so that's just kind of a feeling that's one of my favorites, is like walking onto that pontoon and knowing like, you know what, and maybe it's even like an hour before the race or a day before the race or a week before the race, where you just know like, you know what, I've done everything that I can. And if like there are things that, however the race plays out, I wouldn't change a thing in the lead up. Like if you can enter a race that way and leave the race also feeling that way, like regardless of what happened, because maybe it'll go your way, maybe it won't, like you can't control the outcome, but knowing you've done everything you can, that's the position I hope to be in. Coming from a country like France or Great Britain and having those athletes dominate the sport versus a smaller federation definitely has an effect on how the race plays out.
The beauty of triathlon, isn't it, is finding that perfect race, which is almost impossible because of there's so many different outcomes which can potentially happen, which are out of your control. But I think it's about making sure as many of those variables are something in your control, and to execute that and deliver it is going to be super important. For me, I'm just doing my best to be able to execute the swim so that I can be in the race from the get-go. I think that's fundamentally the most important thing for me, is that if I do that, then I will be in the race, hopefully be in the race regardless. So I think that, I guess so many different nations and stuff are going to have their goals and their team tactics, but I think for me, fundamentally, I'm just internally focused so I can just deliver what I can on the day. And I think if I spend too much emotional energy, on what other people are doing and what's going on, then you're just going to drive yourself mad, I think. So for me, it's all about just first of all enjoying the process of what I'm doing, because this is what I've always wanted to do, but also just trying to focus on what I can do and be the best person I can be. And if I can stand on that start line, 5% better than I was last year, then that's an exciting place to be. I think there's obviously so many different people who can, surprise on an Olympic day. I think that there's obviously a magic about the Olympics which can throw up all kinds of things, and maybe what we expect it may not be. And I think that's super exciting, and I think that that's going to be the beauty of this Olympic Games, is that it is so unpredictable and anything can happen. But I think fundamentally you got to focus on yourself and what you can do, and that will eventually lead to the best outcome that you can possibly have within the race, because you don't worry about what other people are doing. And I think wasting your energy on other people can often lead to your race unraveling and unraveling. So it's amazing to be part of this era of the sport. I think there's so many different circumstances which can change a race and lead to a different outcome, and I think that's super exciting. I think that we're really privileged to be in a position where we're going into Olympic Games and it's so open and you don't know what's going to happen. So I think that's super exciting, and I think that often makes sports and within an Olympic Games blue ribbon events, because there is such a big battle on their hands to win the greatest title of all.
It could be Dorian Coninx effectively fighting for the world title right here with the two Frenchmen. Helvig still trying to win the race, but Coninx looks the stronger. Lacour is trying to come, but Dorian Coninx is going to get there. He beats Helvig. Lacour was only third. Now she can just about smile in a minute. Van der Kay has got past Rappaport. Lindemann is on the blue carpet being roared on here. She's not going to be caught. It's a massive moment for her. She's come close before, but it's her first ever win at the elite level. Lindemann wins on home soil. and there's absolutely no danger to Matt Hauser. He's really starting the season well. A fantastic second in Yokohama in May. He's going to go one better here. There's no one anywhere near him. Hauser wins for Australia. Bang on 50 minutes. What a run.
Onto the blue carpet. Not long to go. And the race that frankly she has made her own. Duffy wins.
This is a phenomenal end to the season. He grits his teeth. Van Riel, I think, is beaten. Berger is trying to stay with Blummenfelt, but it's so hard. He's been the best triathlete this season, and Van Riel trying to come on the outside. What a finish here. Blummenfelt trying to hold him up to the line. The Olympic champion is the world champion in the best manner possible.
At last stretch up towards the finish line.
She's back, and she's back with a bang. Taylor Brown wins in Cagliari for the second year running.
The shades are off. It's victory time. A fist pump, a smile, the blue carpet waits. Vilassa making the push behind him. Hauser's made the push as well late on. Coninx is coming too. But running wild in Japan is Hayden Wilde. The man who perhaps needed this most in Yokohama gets the victory. Hayden Wilde first in Japan.
Took over at the front after the first lap, and then one of the greatest bike displays we've ever seen on either the men's or women's side. Now she can enjoy it with a massive advantage. She started the season brilliantly in Yokohama. If anything, this has surpassed it. Quite phenomenal from Knibb, who wins the grand final in Edmonton. Beth Potter is going to come home and win the test event for the Paris Olympics. Beaugrand cannot get to her. This has been a brilliant performance from the Scot. But it's gold for Beth Potter in Paris. Talk about a dominant victory. You won't see anything more dominant than this. Alex Yee comes home completely on his own here in Paris. A fantastic win for the Brit. He can just jog over the line. I'll look back. There is no one. There's the smile. There's the fist pump. And Yee wins the test event at a canter.